Okay, I'll start by saying this, man. If I'm being totally honest, I bet you feel this way too, but it's not, it's kind of difficult to review Arm and Hammer projects on this podcast the way that we do it, right? Because we always got to come back on some shit not even 48 hours after it drops, basically. And I still get good listens. I probably listen to this two and a half, maybe 3 times, but that doesn't mean I'm going to like I need time with an album like this. But do you feel that way too? Like an album like this, or when we did Shrines too, I felt the same way. It was like their albums are difficult to review like this.
Yeah, they're very dense.
Very dense.
I feel like sometimes, I feel like I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know. These kind of projects, I just like. It's hard for me to get like just 1 or 2 listens and then be like, all right, I got it. Like,
yeah, boom.
Yeah, I'm done. I can talk about it. Like I could probably sit on this for like a month and still like kind of find a couple of things here and there I could talk about.
But that's a good thing, though. I mean, we talk about that. We talk about that. Like, I appreciate finding new things in the music after the first 3 listens and shit like that. So I think that's an indicator that they make good music, that the music isn't exactly meant to be consumed all in this one day, 1.5 day. I mean, that'd be pretty boring, right? If it was like that. But it's not going to stop me about giving these thoughts and talking about the album and just giving some initial feelings about the album. I think it's pretty good. And I think the thing that makes this project a bit of an exception to the difficulty of reviewing Arm & Hammer albums so quickly is the element of the Alchemist being the producer for this album. I think that gives this album a little bit more of like instantaneous enjoyment, at least on the front of the production.
I agree. I think it's like the Alchemist. As of late, I feel like the Alchemist has become more of like a experimental name. I think just by nature of who he works with and stuff. But if you go back, like not even that far, like he always does beats that fit the artist he's producing for really well.
Yeah.
So like on the Action Bronson stuff, all of that sounds like super, just fits the bill for who's rapping. Freddie, same kind of thing. On Lulu, I felt like all those beats sounded like Conway beats.
Yep. Got in his Griselda bag.
Yeah, but I mean, most of those artists that I just named are, definitely not as experimental and as trippy and weird as Billy Woods.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a knock against them or anything. It's just they're completely different artists. So like to see Alchemist kind of like get in a really different bag for an artist like Arm & Hammer, I would think like that's pretty cathartic. I feel like that's always fun to like. He could do whatever he wants with a sample. Like he's that talented. Like he could flip a sample in 10 different ways and it all sound great. But like what he did on this, I think is definitely unlike just a step further than anything I've heard him do. In this arena.
Again, I think this really like tasks him to come up with something just a little bit different. Again, I think with an Action Bronson or a Freddie, I think the way that they rap, that gives you a big indicator of what to give them. And I think with Billy Woods, there's that. But then also there's Elucid, who is different. And so giving them both something, while they both are just different than, they're definitely way more out there than a Freddie or an Action is, or even a Conway, or, just whoever, Rock Marcy or whatever. That, I think it kind of untapped him a little bit. It wasn't like I couldn't hear Rock Marcy on a certain beat, or I couldn't hear Freddie getting on a certain beat and being able to kill it. But I did think that there's something about it that enhanced both of the guys here. And I would say it serves the flow of the album really well to me too. Is probably the other big thing that I notice. Sometimes with Armand Hammer albums, I get to these sections that I love, and then I get to these sections that I don't as much. And I felt a little less impact in that regard with this project, in that, like, still Alchemist, like, again, getting into a very weird bag. But tons of quotables, and personally, like, I always come to appreciate Billy Woods with, like, each new project. The more I hear him rap lately, the more I hear him rap about current things that are going on and stuff, the more it kind of works in my mind, like, okay, yo, this guy is crazy, like an all-time talent.
I mean,
and Elucid is the same way too. Like, Elucid gets me in that way as well, like constantly growing on me. The both of them are really interesting rappers.
He just sounds like a force when he's rapping, and like it just like with such conviction and stuff. And Elucid is a different style of rapper, but is just as like technically skilled. And you know, I can appreciate. I think I'm more used to appreciating a rapper like Elucid than I am Billy Woods. This whole like scene of underground rap is still like relatively new to me. I mean, we've been talking about this shit for like a couple of years now, but like if you think about it, like Billy Woods has been around since like early 2010s, maybe even before that, as like a prominent figure. I'm not like up to him, like I'm not.
Yeah, it's only been like the last couple of years
to him
for
like
me.
that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Elucid, that's a rapper that like I feel like I'm a little bit more like familiar with his style, and like I've already been appreciating what he does. Billy Woods is like, he's just a force, man. Like,
force of consciousness is like the way that he just puts thoughts into rhymes. Like, he can really just emphasize thoughts, and the both of them, they do this thing. They deliver their ideas in a way that really leaves me thinking, like, damn, what do they mean by that? But it's not it's not so abstract that I never really find it out. It's just kind of like the first time they say something, it's kind of like maybe you just don't catch what they mean, or it's just kind of like it kind of leaves it lingering for a moment, and then maybe if I think about it a little longer, or if I hear it another time and I'm just in a different space of mind, I finally get it, and then that's like a little nugget of the album, you know, I just appreciate. So there's always a nice mix of like things that hit on the first listen because they're funny or they're just quaint the way that they say it or play with the words or whatever. But there's lots of other things that are more vague, kind of leave you needing to come back to the album and really be invested and interested in the album to really even care about it or be interested or get it, which I think is great. I talk about that really often, you know, like just being rewarded for paying attention, being rewarded for listening multiple times, being rewarded for listening, and not just hearing the beats or just enjoying the flow and stuff like that. So in general, I think these guys accomplish that really well, like no matter, you know, the like not just on this project, I guess is what I'm saying. I think that's their specialty in general as album makers. But they make a lot of projects. They make a lot of good projects. But I also love just the pace at which Billy puts out these incredibly enigmatic and mystifying albums that clearly have a lot of thought, a lot of writing going into them. You know, the pace at which he's able to do that is kind of crazy. And the fact that he's been able to do it over the course of like a decade to this point is even more the reason to be excited about what he brings to the table. Yeah, I would say, you know, I'm not really there enough to say like whether or not this is like my favorite project of theirs. I love Paraffin. Shrines is actually growing on me. I didn't love it so much when we reviewed it. It's growing on me. You know, Rome and Race Music are a little like Rome is 2017, so that's not too long ago, but those two seem a little bit like earlier on in the process to me, still figuring it out. So this is one of the most exciting records that they've done, but I haven't. I probably won't know for a little bit if this is really like their best one yet. If it's one of their best yet. I think so. I think it's really good. But beyond that, man, I just need time with the record.